What is up, everybody? How y'all doing? This is Jermaine from That Christian Fam, and we are back with another live. Y'all, it seems like it has been forever. It really does seem like it's been forever. Y'all, we got stuff going on down here, but nonetheless, man, we're trucking through. I'm excited to dive into this topic tonight. We have a wonderful panel lined up for y'all. Matter of fact, one may be running a little bit late, but my brother, I believe he's gonna make it. I believe he's gonna make it. But anyways, y'all already see the title. Y'all saw the thumbnail. We're going to be discussing Wakanda Forever, the movie Wakanda Forever. And if y'all, I don't know if y'all don't know, Wakanda Forever is basically supposed to be part two to the Black Panther. And y'all know that we had the tragic death of Chadwick Boseman, so he was not in the film at all, and so they had to find a way to move forward without Chadwick. Nonetheless, we have Wakanda Forever. Now, listen, I understand that a lot of y'all have gone to see the movie, and some of y'all may not have, but all I know is this: if you're going to be on this live, spoiler alert, all right? Because everybody on this panel has seen the movie. We had to, right? Because we're talking about it. Like, why talk about a movie that you have not seen? So I'm looking forward to diving into this topic on tonight, and I'm going to bring on our first guest. I'm not going to bring them on all at the same time and try to give everybody time to get themselves together, but we're going to bring on Brother Maurice. How you doing, brother?
I'm blessed, brother. How you been, man?
Oh, I'm doing good. This is Maurice from All God Everything, y'all. Go ahead and say what's up to the people, bro.
How's everybody doing today? It's been a while, since I did a live as well. So this is like my segue back in,
Right?
Because life's been busy. So if you guys still following my channel, I've been doing nothing but shorts and reels, so just to kind of stay consistent. But yeah, it feels good to be back on the live.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what's up. This is our brother in Jacksonville, Florida.
Orlando.
Man. No. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. My bad. I said Jacksonville. No, that's Dina Reviews. You're in Orlando. That's right. My bad. You're in Orlando. How could I forget, bro? Anyways, I appreciate you joining us tonight, bro. And then we have my sister Nicci from the Glow Code. How you doing, sis?
I'm well. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Could you let people know about your channel?
Okay, so my channel is called The Glow Code. It is the online space for around the way girls who are unashamed of the gospel. I am your kingdom mindset coach, helping women position themselves to inherit, enlarge, and enjoy the kingdom, both here and hereafter. So, Coach Nicci, happy to be here.
All right. And this is the woman who's going to be bringing the perspective from the ladies, or her perspective. All right. We wanted to get a female's perspective on the movie. And I could not think of anybody better than to have my sister Nicci. I really do appreciate your insight, as I was talking about, as I was telling you in the background or whatever. But brother, how you doing? You made it.
I made it.
You made it, brother. My brother from another mother. I appreciate
what's going on.
How you doing?
Doing well. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. You sound good. Cool. You sound good. Anyways, can you introduce yourself? I know you've been on the channel tons of times, but just go ahead and tell people about your channel, bruh.
All right. Harrison Family Values. Talk about faith, family, fatherhood, and manhood, and other stuff. But whatever we discuss, we usually discuss it through those four lenses. But yeah, man, excited to be a part of this conversation.
Awesome. Yeah, man, I'm excited to dive into this, man. We actually had another movie that I actually wanted to talk about, but I haven't seen that movie yet. All right, and that was Woman King. I know we got a lot of narratives from Woman King, and I am not going to discuss it because I have not seen it. Has anybody seen that movie, Woman King? Anybody? Okay, you say not yet, huh? I was like, man, I don't even know if I want to. I don't even know if I want to spend my dollars. Anyways, we're looking forward.
That's why I wait for it to come on HBO Max or
we're gonna have to get it on the Fire Stick. All right,
Netflix.
Anyways, I'm looking forward to diving into this topic, man. Like I said, we are going to be talking about the movie Wakanda Forever, and for myself, I saw it not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Me and my family, and so I just wanted to get y'all insights or y'all perspectives, or basically before we talk about the movie, let's talk about what were your expectations of Wakanda Forever. And Maurice, we're gonna start with you. What were your expectations of the movie before you saw the movie?
So my expectations honestly were not that high because Chadwick, with the loss of Chadwick, I knew it was going to shift some things. But like first and foremost, I'm gonna just let everybody know watching. You can go ahead and judge me fully because I'm gonna give my Marvel point of view, my Christian point of view, and then my culture point of view. So
Oh yeah, we're gonna get there.
so I'm coming with that narrative, but I will say, just for starters, it exceeded my expectations as a quality Marvel movie. So I had to start off by saying that, like, what with what they were able to do and pull together in such a short amount of time, I will say, as a Marvel movie itself, is definitely up in the top.
You jumping ahead. I simply asked you what were your expectations, and you went
Okay,
into
sorry.
this brother. Nikki, you got to get us straight. What were your? No, you good, bro. What were your expectations going into the movie?
I think I have to agree with Maurice. Like, I expected it to be good, but I didn't expect it to be great. Like, I was prepared for it to be like a notch down from the original for the same reasons that Chadwick wasn't there. And also, I felt like, if Killmonger was going to be the star, I would have been hyped, right? Because that was my dude. But I didn't feel like he was going to be a major part of the story. So I just kind of felt like, I don't know, Shuri, maybe. I don't know. I'll reserve judgment, but I wasn't as hyped about it and as prepared for it to be like mind blowing like I was for the first one. But I didn't want my money back after seeing it. So
okay. Now, Dre, listen, a little tease on you because I seen it on your channel.
Yeah.
I know you were elated, but you go ahead and just tell me what were your expectations going into the movie, Brad?
My expectations, I got to be honest, I didn't go into it with any like crazy expectations. I just wanted to see a good movie.
Yeah,
Like, I wasn't trying to go in there with anything other than I was hoping that Marvel was going to reinvigorate the franchise. I think and that was my only hope. I was hoping that they would, and with the since Falcon and the Winter Soldier, everything that Marvel's been putting out has been pretty cheesy in my opinion. So I was and all I wanted to see was just a really good Marvel movie. And
Okay.
yeah.
So that's what you wanted to say. Okay, so that was your expectations. My expectations were a little tainted. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I had already heard so much negativity from social media about the movie. I had already had these narratives in my head about the movie to where by the time I got to the theater, my expectation was like, man, I'm just trying to get through this movie. And y'all know the narratives I may be speaking about. But honestly, I mean, I would have to say, and we'll go into what did you think of it from a cinematic perspective? And Dre, I know you think it's over the top. Me, what I thought of the movie, when it exceeded my expectations, it did. I thought some of the narratives. I don't want to jump ahead. But I thought just if we were to just judge it solely on being the cinematic production of the movie, I thought it was out of this world. I thought it was a very well thought out, very well put together movie. I thought the special effects were just I thought they were dope. I thought that if you're just taking it at face value, okay, was it worth the price of admission? Yeah, I could definitely say that. Nikki, what say you?
I agree. Like the costuming, the colors, just the beauty cinematically it was, amazing. Even especially the underwater scenes in what is it? Telecon? I don't know. I hope I'm not saying that wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that city, it was beautiful. Like the people swimming and the whole seeing the city under there, that was beautiful. And Wakanda is always beautiful. The fight scenes, I particularly like the one where Okoye was fighting, I don't know the guy's name, the blue guy.
Atuma.
They had
The big
Akuma.
blue guy.
Atuma.
Big blue
Atuma.
guy.
Akuma,
Yeah,
yes.
so
Yeah.
Atuma is actually a Marvel villain. Yeah, so
Oh,
when I
see,
saw
y'all
him in
know
the movie,
the footnote.
when I saw him in the movie, right? I said, I turned to my son and said, "Yo, I think that's Atuma." He's like, "Who?" I said, "Never mind, just wait."
Mhm.
And it turned out being him.
But that was one of my favorite scenes. The fight scene on the bridge,
Mhm.
when Shuri got kidnapped, that I thought was shot beautifully. So as far as the cinematography and just the beauty of the film, two thumbs up on my scorecard.
Yeah, my kids, listen, and listen, there's a whole nother story how our kids ended up going to see the movie. But my daughter was like, Daddy, I hated it. She hated it. And for all the reasons you might think, she was like, she didn't want to see a whole bunch of women. She's a 9-year old girl. She's like, Daddy, I was boring. And my our oldest son, he said, it was okay. You talked about the fight scene. And I think what you just alluded to, I think that was the best fight scene. They were drastically disappointed with the Black Panther because they said she just didn't even look intimidating because she was so small, and they were just like, it just didn't seem real to them. That's what they said, and that's coming from a 9 and 11-year old. They just said, "Daddy, she just so small," and like this was coming from a little girl who said it. She's like, "She's just so small. I just couldn't believe her as being the Black Panther. It wasn't believable to her," and that's coming from a young lady. But yeah, so I thought the best fight scenes was that bridge scene that you talked about. I thought that was really dope. The Black Panther scene, I thought it was okay. Maurice, what you got to say, bruh?
I have to I'm gonna go in the direction kind of like where Andre went because I'm a big Marvel fan, right? And so when you're looking at like the Marvel universe and you're looking at the recent TV shows that they put out and the recent movies, like I was low-key disappointed with Doctor Strange. I was like a one and done for me. And so I'm comparing it to all of those different things that came out. Like I did like Loki and a lot of that stuff, and I'm trying to piece the things together. And in my opinion, as a Marvel fan, I feel like the way they put that movie together, what they had in the short amount of time that they had to deliver in that way was like phenomenal. And like the cinematography, everything. I literally left the theater saying like they saved Marvel. Like, and I'm thinking like Guardians of the Galaxy is gonna keep that going, but like I saw like Thor, Love and Thunder, and they like wasted Thor. If you've seen that, and so I'm like, even like Thor was like, man, I want to do a different Thor movie. Like, can we redo that? Like, even Thor himself said that. So when you have all that leading up to this, and then you see this movie just for like what it is, it was awesome. Now, I actually like the fight scene with Black Panther. My thing with her is size. You got
That's
to
what.
think of like a cat in the jungle. Like
Yeah.
she gave a more agile, quick looking look to the black. Like if you look at like a Black Panther or like cats and things like that in the jungle, if you look at it from that point of view, then you can say, okay, she was a good Black Panther. But like the movie itself was like legit. And I don't want to get too far ahead, but like one part of the movie was like, I'm just throwing my favorite part out there. Killmonger. That 2 minutes took the movie from like a B minus to like an A plus. The 2 minutes he was in there, and so I'm just gonna throw that in there real quick.
See,
But yeah, the movie was awesome.
I feel you.
Yeah,
And last but not least, Trey, what did you
yeah,
think
man.
of it as a movie? Go ahead, bro.
I thought it was I thought it was brilliantly done, um, because of the passing of Chadwick Boseman, them trying to stick to uh, the the comics because it opened up a door for them to do that. So here's the thing, right? Black Panther franchise is probably the only one that has a legit reason to make the Black Panther or the heroine in the story a female. All right, the only one, right? Like Love and Thunder ended with Thor having a daughter, which he does in the comic books, right? But she plays a very 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 small role in the Marvel universe, right? people know about her if you're a Marvel fan, but she doesn't have a huge role. Thor is still Thor. But several times Shuri took over the mantle of Black Panther in the comic books. Several times. So it only, for me, it was like only fitting to make her become the Black Panther because that's how it was in the comics. But you know what it is though? I think when you see the trajectory of the MCU right now, it definitely is female heavy.
Mm.
It is. And they're painting at one point who were these really strong masculine characters to be quasi effeminate. Example was Thor: Love and Thunder. Thor in the first couple of movies, Thor was a beast. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was no touching Thor. In Love and Thunder, the flowers and all that. I mean, I'm like, guys, like this is
Became goofy.
this is a lot. But it just seemed like. But here's the thing, though. Here's my theory about this. I think they're doing this as um as sort of like to fix what they did with the Black Widow. They played the Black Widow. The Black Widow should have had her own movie years ago. And I think in order to sort of like what's the word I'm looking for to sort of like fix it, wow, retribution,
Compensate.
compensate, yeah.
Yeah.
In order to compensate how they played her, because they played her bad. She was one of the original Avengers, and she was the only one that didn't have a solo. Well, Hawkeye, but she was one of the ones that didn't really have a solo movie, and she should have. She should have. And it seemed like they just going so heavy now on female heroes, which I'm not. I don't really have an issue against. But now it seems like the instead of them balancing the scale, they are tipping it.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, people are probably looking at MCU and they're like, you know what? And even though I think there's a slight agenda there, the MCU team seems at this point to be female dominated, and the heroes that do exist that may happen to be male, they either dead or
Mm.
yeah. But as far as the movie is concerned and the story, I love the story. I love the conflict that Shuri was having in the movie. Um, I know you're probably going to touch on this because we talked about faith and stuff, but there was an element of belief there, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, and in comparison to science, you know,
Yeah.
the movie started off with her praying to this false god, hoping that she could save her brother, and she couldn't, and her faith wavered,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately it ended up being somewhat renewed, but not. But even though it was faith in a false,
Right.
deity. But in the movie there was a conflict there. She didn't want the mantle, right?
Ooh.
And then you had this the villain who wasn't a villain, who I felt him the whole movie. And I got to be honest with you, um, aside to Thanos,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
and I'm gonna say this, like even because Killmonger's there too, but
Mm-hmm.
I think aside to Thanos, right now in the MCU, Namor is the illest antagonist in the MCU right now.
Oh
Right, he's
yeah.
he's number two because you understood why he was doing what he was doing. Right,
He,
that's that scene when on the beach when he went to go talk to the Queen
by
Mother.
himself.
Yo, I was like, yo, this dude is not to be played with.
Mm.
Yeah,
Not
we
to be
just,
played.
or in the water too when he was like, he was basically like, I'm gonna give you this offer. I showed you my beautiful city, but we
Hmm.
will do you guys in if I need to.
Hmm.
Like literally, like
And then pointed out to her how he's gonna do it. I will kill your mother, and then I will kill you. I was like, what?
I didn't kill the
Yo,
mother.
like real soft, real like not like
Like
I thought it was gonna be like a love story too, but yeah, I like the story. I think Ryan Coogler and the other writers did a great job writing the story. I don't know how else they could have done it
Mm-hmm.
where they would have been as accurate as they tried to be with the comics, and I'm still trying to give honor
Yeah.
to Chadwick Boseman and still continue on with the franchise. But I thought it was a
yeah.
great movie.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Somebody said that they deviated too far away from the comic series or whatever, and so that's why they didn't like it. Another person said there was no romance. That's why they didn't like it either. Well, there was a little hint of
Exactly.
romance at the very end, but it wasn't a. I don't know if y'all caught that, but I
But
caught
no,
We caught it
was that.
because they shoved it
it.
right in
Somebody
our
brought it
face.
to my
They did.
attention
You
afterwards.
caught
And
it.
I was
Okay,
like,
Nikki say she caught it.
But did you
Go
see
ahead.
the if you looked at the first Black Panther, Okoye called her husband the very same thing that the new leader of the Dharmalaji called her. The very same thing. It's all connected. It's all connected.
Yeah,
But
wow.
I have to ask a question. I don't know if I should ask it now though.
what?
All right. So you notice how at the end when he painted the Black Panther and the Panther and the other thing, like their God, and it was
Yeah.
all like together. I think he's feeling Shuri. I think he's like really feeling her.
There was definitely chemistry in their
Yeah,
little
man.
tour
Yeah,
around the city.
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
He was looking in her eyes a little bit too deep.
Mhm.
I mean, he gave her a family heirloom on the first not date.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he had the mother bracelet. Like you just
Mhm.
met this girl and you
Yeah.
gave your mother a family heirloom. Like
Mhm.
that's big.
Yeah.
league.
Yo.
Yeah, I saw behind the scenes. They were talking about how they had great chemistry, like on the set or whatever. They had really great chemistry. There wasn't, I don't know if there's anything to it, but they said they had really great chemistry. So, listen, y'all, I want to dive into some other stuff now. We're going to get a little serious, y'all. We're going to get a strip away from the comic book part of it. We're going to go into some of the deeper messages that may have been conveyed because some of the narratives that I heard, I believe they were there, and I believe y'all may know what I'm talking about, but they may not have been as pronounced as I was made to believe. But they were
Right.
still there. They were still there. And that's why I posted on Facebook. I said sometimes, we see what we want to see, but nonetheless, it was still there. But I don't know if it was as pronounced. I'll go ahead and ask y'all the next question. Were you disappointed with the lack of male leadership or representation in the movie?
Yes.
Nick, look, shit. I couldn't even get to Nick. I was about to go to. She said, "Yes."
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, tell us how you really feel. You were disappointed. Why were you so disappointed? And from a woman,
You go to the movies to have your little like fantasy, like you want to see,
the
you
bed.
want to live in a different reality for a little bit, and then you get to that reality and like ain't nothing popping. Like there's no eye candy. There's no. I mean, I guess Namor was a little bit, but you kind of want to see a romance on screen and kind of live through that person. It was just very, you just need like balance, like Dre was saying. I wanted to see a little something, and I felt like that sort of energy was kind of one little ingredient that was missing. You know how you eat something and it's good, but it just need a little, you just need a little zest of
Yeah.
something, some spice that was missing. I feel like the masculine energy, if you will,
Was
it
it
was
there?
a little missing. For a woman who likes men, I would like to see a little something. That's all.
I get you. That's why a lot
Can
of
I say that on the Christian on the Christian channel? Is that allowed?
no, that's perfectly fine.
Oh,
That's okay.
okay.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of women felt. That's what a lot of women felt as well. And even the male representation, um, the little bit that was there was from M'Baku, right?
Mm.
And then he was almost like sometimes they would go to him for leadership guidance or whatever, but then other times he was the clown. And then the male representation, as far as black men, you didn't really see it. And then somebody said the most we saw of the men were some effeminate looking men or whatever. And then you saw I think the key role of the men was when the women jumped off the side of the boat and they had to hold the rope for the women. I'm like,
There was no male warriors. It was just kind of like
If I could break down like
go ahead.
imagery, because because I had a lot of conversation with this with some friends and some family too that kind of like shed light on it. So like the M'Baku thing, I wanted to highlight that he had a good story arc. Like his character arc from the first one to the second one showed like his maturity and his coming together. Like you could tell that he's going to be the next king, the Black Panther, and they were setting him up for that because he was just as hard. Like we're about our people, Then he became one with everyone. So he basically carried that male dominance thing, but the direction Marvel's going, they had to like let him be goofy in a couple scenes. But if you kind of compare to the first one, we know Chadwick passed away, but now his girlfriend is now baby mama. And then what was the girl name? The leader of the Dharmology?
Okoye.
Okoye.
Okoye. So her husband was with the group that was the traitors with Killmonger. And so all of them are in jail. And so that was another male dominant group that had a big role in the first one. Now they in jail. In the second one, they didn't even have a scene. And then you're just left with all the main characters from the first one, which were predominantly women. And then at first glance, they gave the other male villain a very strong dominant role, but unfortunately, he wasn't black. He wasn't for the culture, even though he did a good job representing the male dominance. So it's on like, what do you have with that? And then again, like now you have all, and then the scene with the side of the boat, like the queen, her soldiers were all men, but they weren't really highlighted a lot. All the main fight scenes were the women, and so when you put like all that together after like thinking about it, sitting back on it, you're like, man, there wasn't a real strong male representation for the culture, at least. And that was something that we had, like, dads was taking their sons to the first one, throwing up like the Wakanda symbol, like, we all represented. But now kind of like, unfortunately, paints this picture of like what we see in the culture today. Like, mama, daddy in jail, daddy's gone, not here, like all these different things that like it was kind of like highlighted in that. And then don't get me started on like the colonizer jokes, but like basically the colonizer, I'm quoting Marvel, the colonizer was one person that came and helped and kept the black woman good, and then the Spanish guys. So everyone else was like helping out, outside of the culture, were the ones that were coming in to kind of cover and protect, the black women. And so I'm leaving right there. I know I want you guys to jump in.
No, that's good, because did y'all catch when, I forget the warrior girl name, this bald headed, I don't know her name, but her husband that sided with Killmonger in part one, kind of led a cool, what I'm talking. He was missing. He wasn't in this. And instead of saying, something, they were like, he left you. And I'm like,
now,
why do they have to go to like the brother left you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to say, like, this is why this stuff means so much, is because it's almost like it's pointing to a bigger narrative that's actually going on in real life within our community. Y'all know what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. And so when we're talking about the lack of male leadership, what are we talking about in our culture today? Well, in our within the black community, whatever little community that we do have, we talk about the lack of male leadership, or the lack of males, or the narrative that you can do it all on your own, sister. You don't need a man. And I'm not trying to beat that dead horse, but I'm just trying to tell y'all some of the things that people walked away saying, like, hey, man, that was all the women. And that was like, basically, we got this. And I don't know if they went as hard as what I was anticipating on there. I feel like this was more like a bridge between part one and part three, because you can already see what they're doing. They're going to bring back the male leadership maybe in part three. And I think maybe they did the best they could with this part two. But you cannot leave this movie not thinking, hey, you know what? There was a lack of male leadership. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Dre?
Oh, well, yeah. And I know there was a scene when Okoye's rank was taken away, when Queen Mother was right after Shuri got kidnapped. She said to Okoye, your husband is in jail, where you go and see him. You can go see him anytime you want. But my children, my family is all gone. So, but there's also a backstory to that as well. He was supposed to be. They had wanted him in this movie.
Right. Oh, I know. And he was shooting nope. He was shooting nope.
So he chose to go back to and
He
shoot
said
note
no.
instead of he said no because he was shooting note. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was evident. That was evident. Now I'm trying to think back to the comics. We also know that in the comics, the dermatology played also a big role in the comics as well. Okay, and even in the comics, you'll see that the Black Panther is the dominant male figure in the comics, unless that they
Yeah.
have Killmonger and other characters in the comics as well. So it's all it's in the comics, but I think because of the space that we're living in now, I think we're all very much sensitive to things like that.
Mm.
So we don't want to see anything too far off balance, right?
Yeah.
But we
Mhm.
want to see things balanced. So if something was real male heavy, you'll have a lot of females saying where was a female representation of it. But then if it's male heavy, most men won't be like, uh, where was the female representation? They'll love it. Vice versa, a lot of women love all the female representation in the movie, and some of us are like, yeah, but there wasn't enough men. and
Yeah.
and the fact is the fact, right? There really wasn't. And Baku, I like his character, and shout out because he's a Trini, but I like his character. But I don't think that they utilize his strength the way they should have in this specific movie. There were certain points where he would jump in and saving people when the
Right.
city was getting flooded, but that's all we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After that, that was it. And then it
And
was
he got punched in the chest real hard.
yeah, but which
But he went
which
at him.
I was not expecting him to go up against Namor. Like that's not
No.
going to happen. The
Yeah.
fact that he tried though
Right.
was showing,
Yeah.
it was showing. But even at the end, his fight scenes weren't that heavy on the ship. You saw a lot of the women, fighting, and he was right about the men holding up the women. But the only one outside of that who was really getting it in was M'Baku for the quick, movements that you saw him
Yeah.
fighting. And here's the thing: M'Baku should have went up against Atuma, not Okoye,
Mm.
and Okoye should have went up against uh, Namora. That's what should have happened. All right, because M'Baku is the match for Atuma, not in the comics because Atuma is a beast in the comics, but at least for this specific storyline, you would think that M'Baku would be going head to head with Atuma and Okoye going toe to toe with Namora, but that didn't happen. In
I got
fact, Namora was going up against Riri Williams, I think it was in the movie.
you. Mm.
So again, yeah, like you look at it, like there's no men, and
Yeah.
and the one man that got it in was Namor, who got defeated by
The
a female.
the 100-pound female.
Yeah, yeah. Which I gotta say this.
That part was cold.
But here's my thing though about that, right? And this is like no knock on anybody. We have to think like she it's a fictional movie, number one, right?
Right.
Two, she took the heart shaped herb.
Right.
Okay, like so we're getting upset about her being a 100-pound woman, right?
No,
Not about
they're more. They just still, regardless of what she took, they're like, "Daddy, this just don't even look real to them." And I was like, kids, they were like, "It was okay." That it just wasn't. It didn't translate. To the screen.
But here's the thing, right? You look at how many people said that about the Avengers when this huge space alien was coming at them, and the Hulk just punched it one time, and it killed over. Like
it's still, it's believable to them because it's the Hulk.
But again,
what about Spider-Man though?
Picking and
Yeah,
choosing.
even with that, but yeah, they just couldn't. They couldn't wrap their head around that. Like just for whatever reason, they were like,
you have to suspend your disbelief quite a bit. I mean, she's small, and I wasn't understanding. He ran her through the middle of her body. I guess he missed every organ.
All right, so I'll say this.
Like,
did we say this
he's
about
supposed to be one of the strongest? Like when Ryan Coogler was talking about Namor, he said Namor is like up there with I think what's the face? The Hulk. So I just
it's still printing.
Maybe it was the feather. When she got the feather, maybe that was like Samson's
Maybe
hair.
that was it. I don't know.
Maybe
He
that was
took
it.
one of the feathers, and that was it. I don't know. I want to move on a little bit because I want to get into some of those narratives. Because Nicci, I want to ask you as a black woman, do you like the depiction that was portrayed in the movie? Because I say that to say this, even though we saw a little bit of elegance, we saw like this, how I don't want to. Okay, there was a hint of elegance with uh what is it? Black what is it? Chadwick's his ex-wife. You could really see the femininity in her.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Huh?
Lupita Nyong'o's character.
Yes, yes. Lapita. However,
Okay.
yeah,
Nakia. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. She was a beast
like that. But like, there was a lot of people that was upset because it just fit the narrative of like we
The
our women
strong black woman.
yes, like we can't, like our women can't be women, and like
Well, if it ain't no men around, you can't.
well like they can be like
I mean, in real life as well.
but yeah, like women can be strong and dominant. Where I feel like a lot of people's gripe was with the movie is like they were masculine, carrying with like women. Like you could be a strong black woman without being masculine.
Well, I mean, I would juxtapose. Now, this is taken into DC, but like when you watch the DC and they go to the Amazons, they're all brolic and kind of, I guess that's the DC version of the Dora Milaje kind of. I don't know, what do you call them? The Nimascura or wherever
Themyscira.
Yeah.
Those women, I guess, would be kind of equivalent somewhat to the Dora Milaje. They're very kind of masculine looking in their build and the way they move and stuff too. But I think for black women in particular, we don't have too many narratives to balance that kind of imagery out. I mean, it's not often in comic book movies or any movie really where black women are allowed to be vulnerable and soft and to be like, we're never really the damsel in distress. Like, if we are in distress, it's like, I'm gonna put an H on my chest and I'm gonna handle it. I can deal with this distress. No one ever swoops in and like rescues us and unties us and saves us off the tracks while the train is coming. That doesn't really ever happen. Black girls don't grow up seeing that or expecting that. And so we got to save ourselves because we can't depend. Ain't nobody coming for us. Okay. So it's kind of like art imitating life, imitating art. And I say in real life, if you're in a community where your warriors are locked up, your warriors are on drugs, your warriors are miseducated, uneducated, your warriors are outside of the will of God, you might have to put Dora Milaje up and take care of yourself because you don't have a covering. There's no one in your community who can stand in that space and carry that mantle for you. So you kind of evolve and adapt to your environment to become hard yourself. You're not allowed to be soft because if you are soft and there's no covering, you gonna get taken advantage of. You're gonna get spoiled, and we see that happening with a lot of women in our community who are being spoiled with being taken advantage of, being harmed, being used and abused because there are no men who are standing on guard in the community.
There's no covering.
Left on that. Sorry, I'm gonna sit back.
No, you're good.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, there's no covering, and that's the problem. We're getting this mentality to where we don't feel like we even need a covering, and what we actually do need a covering. Like, it is good to be covered because an uncovered woman. I'm sorry, not all women, because I don't want to use that word all, but it leads to hard women because you have to be hardened to be in the boardroom, to be living life on your own. You have to harden yourself. And so you can't even let yourself be that vulnerable, quote unquote, damsel in distress, like you said. And corporations have known this for quite a long time. It's one of the reasons why they love to employ black women in the role of HR, because they take advantage of that. They take it. They're the most enrolled in the HR, and they hire them the most for security guards. They take advantage of that, or they say, okay, well, no, they can handle themselves, and they're the most employed through HR and security guards, unfortunately, because that's the narrative and that's how they look at, African American women or black women in general. And so, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, you highlighted something there where, like, I would love to see a panel discussion. I didn't even gotta be on it, but like just to throw that idea out there is like women in media,
Yeah.
like when you like I never really saw that, even though I saw it, I never really understood a perspective. But like when you look at the movies in the masses, like just taking it outside of Black Panther really quick, like that's all that these young black women are growing up seeing, which is it's not bad, but it's like when there's trouble in the culture, we gotta look at what we're watching, what we're feeding our spirits, what we're feeding our minds. So if it's all this imagery of like bashing heads and women, women have to take care of themselves. It's like either I'm gonna get a good man or I'll be fine by my own. Like there's nothing. I don't want to say there's nothing wrong with that, but like if that's continually pushed, that's what they're going to be led to do instead of having like that Dear John, notebook type of relationship. Like you don't really see it on that level in
No,
Hollywood and TV shows and stuff.
It's always struggle love.
It's always struggle love. It's always the Tyler Perry guy with the cornrows coming to save. Like,
not the cornrows.
There was nobody in cornrows in Black Panther. There's no light skinned brother in cornrows that could have came.
And it's so true when you think about movies and cinema. There are so many movies you can think of where, like, the white woman, you will have men risking it all, literally going to the ends of the earth. To save this white woman. It's all over
King Kong and King Kong.
And it'll be part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. We are going to move the access of the earth to save this white woman. And you don't really have movies like that where people are a black man is moving heaven and earth and going to the height of heights and the depths of depths to save a black woman. That narrative, I didn't grow up seeing that. I don't know too many other y'all. Can y'all name a movie? I don't know. It's just that we don't get that.
That's all we got.
I mean, it ended nicely, but there was a struggle there. But so I mean,
true. Wow.
Yeah, there was no, I cannot. There is a movie that came on Amazon a couple years ago. It's called Love Something. I cannot remember it. It had the African brother and the one, y'all know the woman that plays, have y'all seen Creed? Y'all seen Creed?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, his wife, she played in it, and it's called Love Something, but it was on Amazon, whatever. That was the most romantic black movie I have ever seen. And I don't know. Now it took place back in the 50s and 60s. That might be why.
I will say one on Netflix I saw recently was with the girl. It was like this dude. It was like a Christmas movie. Usually it's like all those Christmas movies on Netflix. They're like interracial, but it was one with basically the black guy got the girl from the white dude. Like she thought the white dude was the one, but it ended up being the black dude with the photography or whatever. And he bought her out her own studio and all that kind of stuff. That was like the first time I seen like a legit like black couple love story, like no struggle. It was just like legit. That was the only one now that I think about it. I forgot the name of it though. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's good. And so like I want to go into a couple other things because I'm not trying to be on here too long. And Drake, it's already been 48 minutes, and man, time moves quickly. But did y'all see the black and brown unity narrative? How they wanted to kind of unify, and that's almost like a microcosm of reality. Like they're trying to do that, even in reality. And I think that black and brown unity is good. We're all one in Christ. Don't get me wrong. I think that because there's a lot of people that's scared of the browning of America because America has become brown. Like it's brown. All right. Whatever they feared 20 years ago when I was in high school, that has come to fruition. It is America's brown now. But the unity between black and brown people, I think that is dope. As long as we don't villainize white folk, I don't think we need to. I don't think. Yeah. What up? Yeah. Thank you, brother.
I'm back. Oh, right.
Yeah, I think that the unity between black and brown people is dope because it actually happens a lot, especially down here in Dallas, Texas. Um, with black and brown people, we live in the same neighborhoods, and all of that stuff. Go to the same schools and all of that stuff. And so I think that that's cool. And I know it happens in in New York as well, Miami, LA. You know, in some cases in LA, I'll say that. Some cases in Chicago as well. There's a lot of unity between black and brown people, and I think that that's dope to highlight of what it should be. But
Mhm.
just as long, and Dre, I don't know if you heard this part, as long as we don't try to villainize white people,
Mm-hmm.
like and just make it to where, because I don't think that, for one, I know this wasn't a Christian movie, but us as being believers in Jesus Christ, we should never go with that narrative to where
Right.
we start villainizing a whole population of people. Did y'all get any hint of that, Maurice? You go ahead, bro.
No, I feel like a lot of people press that issue. That was part of the conversation that I always had to bring it back to like my Marvel point of view because I think that's a key thing, especially as believers. When we talk about uplifting the culture, when we talk about black and brown empowerment, there's this narrative that you have to push down, whites, where you don't really have to, especially as believers. Like if you're calling yourself a believer, let's all empower each other and lift each other up and push each other forward, support one another. You don't have to bring somebody else down, especially if you have the understanding of the heart of God. You're not going to do that. And that's kind of like where the conversation kind of like went too far away from like my take on the movie was like when they started spinning that narrative, like why did Agent Ross have to come in there and be like the white guy? Like they just have an all black? I mean, like why you gotta?
She was like a colonizer in chains. Now I have seen everything.
I was laughing at that though. It was like now I seen everything, colonizer and change, but like stuff like that is like funny. Like they can make light of like
Yeah, I get it. But if
But
you
yeah,
look
like
at it, even with throughout the whole history, even when Bucky from Avengers, even when they came across him, they were like, "Who is I gotta fix another broken white boy." Y'all remember? Yeah, even with that narrative. So I know they try to make it funny. I just don't want people to take this like, "Oh, okay, let's band together and no," because I don't think that's right as believers in Jesus Christ at all. Um, I don't know what y'all thought about that or not, Nicci or Dre. Before we move on to the next question, but I'm pretty sure we kind of touched on all points on that. But the next question I want to ask y'all real quick is, and this is coming. I want to direct this to Maurice and Dre especially. Are you intimidated by black and brown women empowerment? Are you intimidated by that? Now, I think I already know the answer, but I have to ask that to set up the next question. Are you intimidated by black and brown woman empowerment?
I'm
No.
not.
No,
No.
Okay.
not intimidated.
Emphatically, no, right?
Everybody's great.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked that question is because um, a lot of times when we have anything to say about you know um, black male or masculinity being represented, it always seems as if people think that we're intimidated by a black woman being empowered, and I would argue to say that I'm not intimidated by that
Mhm.
at all. I just don't think it needs to reach some of the levels to where the media has tried to push it, or some people have been puppeted to push it. Like, in other words, you being empowered doesn't mean you have to go seek to destroy the black man. Y'all see what I'm trying to say?
Y'all feel
Mhm.
like people are doing that?
I'll say what?
Do you feel like women are empowered black women are seeking to destroy black men?
No, I think women who are empowered and who have a level head, especially those who are in Christ, I don't think so. But there are people out there. You just listen to some of the music. Um, they're more seeking to destroy, like some of the women that you see propagating the message over the music. It's more so I don't just want to be equal. It's not about being equal anymore. And Dre, we talked about this. It's about dominating or lording over you now at this point. And there,
Mhm.
so there's a little push there,
Yeah,
and we don't think equalities. There's nothing wrong with equality, just as long as you're not trying to usurp. And I think that that's what's being done in certain spaces, especially now. But and I know you're like, oh well, yeah, because you know why? Because you, as well as my wife and other women, y'all don't think that way.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all don't think that way, and it's so beyond your thinking. You're like, really? But trust me, there's women out there who think that way. Matter of fact, I think Cynthia G, she has a
Oh,
whole YouTube channel dedicated to terminating black men in the womb. When you find out it's a black man, you gonna go ahead and abort him. So there is a little narrative out there. There's a movement out there, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, y'all need to understand, we are on the same team. We're on the same. You're on the same team. And honestly, if you look at throughout our history, we've always tried to push our women. We've always tried to push our women. We just don't want it to get to the point to where we start looking at each other as enemies because we're not. We're not. Not at all. Go ahead, Drew. I know you had something to say.
oh yeah, even if we look at it in real world scenarios, right? We don't have um like a conflict of overtly, like, like if we look at Donald Trump, right, when he was in office, he had somebody in direct opposition to him that was somewhat on his level in Nancy Pelosi, right? And uh but we don't really have that. Like whenever we see a somebody who is a black female in any position of authority, right? It's rare that we see somebody that is a black male that has like sort of like a counter, position in the same vein of authority. And I think that's the challenge that we have here. My big issue is inconsistency and imbalance. And I
Mm-hmm.
think what's happening, what could be happening is, what is happening is that the pendulum is shifting in such a way that it doesn't allow for room allow room for black men and black women to coexist in
Mm,
positions of authority and coexist there. It always seems like one has to be over the other
yes.
in some way, form, or fashion. And the thing about this is this: media will help promote a strong black female
Say it.
before they would help promote a strong black
Thank
male
you.
figure.
Thank
So,
you.
and it's not even something like. So here's the thing: there could be a conflict between black men and black women in society, right? And
Mm-hmm.
even somewhat of a competition, right? If you still want to keep the black family down, what are you going to do? You're not going to side with the black men and try to elevate them, because in most cases, not all, but in most cases, the black men will also elevate their family at the same time.
Yes.
Where uh, where instead they would rather, in order to keep black families more apart, they would rather support the narrative of strong black females in black communities and ignore the strong black males in black communities to help promote and help foster a narrative and help push the narrative for people to believe that there are more strong black females in black communities than there are strong black males.
Hold on.
So
I was,
that's my challenge with that. So
I had to hit the bomb. I had to hit that.
yeah.
I had to hit it because you spit a lot of truth. Um, Nikki, I know you have something to say to that.
I,
I just feel like you use the word usurp. Okay. Um, yes, there is some of that, but I think there are two things going on here. I
Yeah.
think we talk a lot about women usurping authority, but we don't talk that much about men abdicating their authority. And so I think in our culture we have a lot of men who, for whatever reason, it's learned behavior in some families at this point, that men choose to abdicate and sit down and allow the woman to step in front.
Pass.
You stay home and you allow your mama to work while you living in the house. You stay home, you allow your baby mama to go work while you playing video games. That's an abdication. So don't get mad at me for usurping. when you have chosen to lay down and abdicate your authority. And the thing about a woman, especially an empowered woman, if you hand me the scepter, I'm going to rule, and good luck getting it back. Okay. So
Yeah.
I just think there's two things going on here. And I just also, I'm sorry, I don't want to overtake, but I think this is
No,
important.
no, you good. Go ahead.
I had to go to a CLE today, continuing legal education. In order to keep my law license, you got to do a certain amount of classes every year. And
Okay.
we did a section about poverty. And someone wrote a book, and she was talking about how poverty in a man, generational poverty in males, alters their identity. And so when men are pushed out of authority or abdicate authority and are no longer able to be providers, they're no longer working, they're no longer being able to provide for a family, what they become is either they take on this identity of being protector or player, meaning I'm now going to be, I can't be a provider, so I'm going to be a protector, meaning violent, I'm going to engage in violence, and that's how I'm going to show my masculinity and being, I'm gonna shoot, I'm gonna kill, I'm gonna spin the block, whatever we doing out here in these streets, or I'm gonna be a player. I'm gonna have as many women as I can. I'm gonna have as many babies as I can. I can't provide, so I'm gonna play and I'm gonna quote unquote protect. And I think that is what is going on in our community. It's a miscalculation or a disruption of what masculinity really looks like and what it really is, because men are not providing, they're fake protecting and playing, which leads them both to my office, because now you got 10 kids by 8 different, you can't pay your child support, so you're going to jail, or you done shot somebody and you're going to jail. So I mean, I think those kind of things are playing out, but I do think women need to take responsibility. Like, I'm from a single parent home, I am an empowered woman, and I think I'm praying on this. It does become kind of like a stronghold where you don't want to. Well, once you've gotten that throne and that scepter, and you're empowered, can't anybody tell me nothing, and I don't need you. I pay my own bills. I pay my own rent. I own my own house. What can you do for me? It's hard to give that up, because now you have to depend on someone else. And it's hard as a Black woman when you've never been, when your father wasn't there, you've never had the experience of depending on a man. It's hard to let go and place yourself in someone else's hands when they might mess it up. At least if it's on me, I can fix it if I mess it up. If I give it to you and you mess it up, now I'm caught out here.
See, and I think that's really good. I love the fact that you brought up the whole thing about, some men and those men that you started off with describing, I wouldn't even categorize them as men.
Right.
If you sitting at home, and I think, and that's what we're trying to differentiate ourselves from, is some dudes are just males. You shouldn't be 28 years old playing Nintendo or playing on the games with your friends and letting a woman go. That's not a man. So we're not talking about those. Yeah, I'm trying to be nice. We're not trying to talk about them. All right, we're not trying to talk about those dudes. We're talking about real men. We're not talking. I noticed I didn't say male, because those are just dudes born with a male anatomy. All right, but we're talking about men, and so like men who are actually about that life, who are trying to lead. And I love what you ended with, because you talked about how it may be kind of hard to give that up, and that's what some brothers out there are complaining about. Like, I don't really have a landing spot to put my foot to even get into the door with you, because it's been you for now. You don't even know how to like be in community and relationship with me, and you don't want to relinquish that. And I think that's part of the problem. And I think that's where we need to go back as Christians and put our faith solely in Christ, especially in those situations, because I'm gonna keep it a buck. I didn't grow up seeing Christ-centered relationships. I didn't grow up seeing a Christian home, and I love how, and I love, because we need to be careful, because we're coming from spaces where we didn't see. We're trying to be something we never saw. So you grew up in a single family home. I didn't grow up with a Christian father. But let me tell y'all something. That didn't stop me from learning how to be a Christian father and a Christian husband. I've been married 18 years, praise God. By the glory of God. Got 3 kids. And that's all by the Holy Ghost. And I had to get myself in a vulnerable state to where I could teach or be willing to be taught by older men. And like, hey, look at the deacon. Oh, what did he do? Some of the stuff I just watched. I just said, and I would watch family sometimes. because I actually had that desire to learn. And I would like to say that with, especially with women who, when you actually have that spirit to kind of learn, and you can humble yourself, and you can get in a space to where you can be vulnerable and say, you know what, I don't know it all. I didn't grow up seeing what I should
Ooh,
be. So
that
let me
hurts.
humble myself and kind of uh watch, because more is caught than taught. And so, and I'm not saying that just in your case, I'm just saying that in general for everybody, because a lot of us grew up without daddies. I grew up without a Christian household. I did. So I had to, like I said, I had to learn on the fly, but it's only by the grace of God. So I think that if we really want to be what we should be, we can through the grace of God, but it takes a lot of humility, it takes a lot of discipline, and it takes a lot of patience. But like I said, we're all what we are by the grace of God. For if it was not for the grace of God, where would we be? So yeah. So, but I love exactly what you had to say. But yeah, so I think so we have a lot of those things going on in our society, and so that's why this movie was so much to so many people, because some people took it and they're very sensitive to that, and some people looked at it and was like, well, it wasn't. I don't think it was as pronounced as what people made it out to be. I don't. I think that it was, at the end of the day, I think they did the best they could. Um, I don't know if the actors or whatever, of course the actors, I don't know if they had an agenda. I don't think Ryan Coogler. Do y'all believe Ryan Coogler has an agenda? He may not have an agenda, but I would say this: the amount of money being thrown behind, like Dre alluded to, there may be some agenda there, because people don't just throw buku money behind black productions just like that for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's that agenda that they're trying to spin. Even at the end, what we just alluded to, when old girl kissed the girl on the head, said "my love," like my kids caught that. My kids caught it, but I praise God that we are raising our kids up, and we're raising them and training them. We're not just letting them be latchkey kids and saying, "Well, the TV's going to raise you." Our kids were able to pick that out, and our kids were able to say, "You know what? We don't believe in that as Christians." So I don't know. What did y'all think, Dre? Dre, you look like you got a lot on your mind.
No. I thought Maurice had something to
No,
he wanted to.
no, I was going to say, in just to piggyback what you guys were just talking about, transitioning to kind of what you were just saying now too, about kind of making that effort, because like we just became like close over the years just doing like the YouTube space, and I consider you guys like mentors, and I kind of want to use it as a time to say I'm kind of stepping into the same area that Dre is going to, because I started like a coaching business earlier this year, where I focused on like mentoring companies through like leadership and things like that. But I decided to niche down and focus on faith and fatherhood. So like, because I know that's needed, I was having a conversation with someone, and they were like, there's nothing really for the fathers. There's nothing really for men. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, all these connections I'm made, and I'm singing Dre. I was like, he's like the only one I know that has a platform to really educate and encourage. I was like, he might need some help. but like, and I see all these like men of God. And what I find with us is that in a humble state, we just do what's right, but we don't broadcast it, and our wives honor us, so they don't broadcast it either. But if more people saw that, then they will understand how to live that way. And so that's kind of like, even with this, when people can see it and understand it, because like on the back end, people aren't having those conversations, or people aren't really seeing that. And so that I feel like that's what's missing. That's why when you get to a movie like this, it's like, why are some people taking it back from it, but some people are going so hard for all these different views? Is because their level of understanding, their level of perception, their level of like, they take their understanding, their upbringings, what the world is showing them, and then they go see it. And they, if you didn't see that movie just for what it was, and you kind of like you kind of brought, like you're bringing out Jermaine, Like if you see the movie for what more than what it was, you're kind of like feeding into the narrative. You're feeding into
Yeah,
the media. You're
yeah,
allowing them to make you see what they want you to see, and then you're feeding that agenda that they're trying to push.
Mm.
And so we have to kind of step up in that space and say, hey, like that was just a great movie. Let's empower those women who did a
yeah,
phenomenal job acting and they crushed it. But if we need to have a conversation to empower men as well, because like right now I see a movement where I see a lot of women like, let's empower our black male. I'm love seeing black men happy. I'm love seeing this. But like they're talking about it, but where's that real push? Where's that camaraderie? Where are we coming together
Yeah.
on that where we can uplift each other? Black men uplift black women uplift black men, have that healthy conversation and showing people consistently, that this is happening in our community. It's happening, but we just not seeing it.
Yeah. And I
yeah,
think, yeah, and I think with that, that'll alleviate. It would ideally alleviate um, the agendas because we know what we want for our communities. We know what's best for our communities, and um, the Black Panther right now is probably the biggest franchise in the Marvel
yes.
cinematic universe.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to definitely pour money into this. They're going to put money into it, um, and uh, and it's no secret that Disney, who owns the Marvel Cinematic Universe, have agendas. They
Come on.
they do want to normalize certain things, right? And Black Panther is a Disney movie. It's
Mhm.
Marvel, but it's also a Disney produced movie. It's funded through Disney. So they're going to push whatever narratives, whatever
Yeah.
agendas that they're going to want to push. Um, as you saw, in the movie, they did that at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere in the movie is there any suggestion of that. You know,
Right. Just
until the very end. So it's got to be put somewhere.
somewhere.
Um, and again, Maurice, you you good?
No, no, I had a quick question. I
Yeah.
didn't want to cut off your thought though, but to me, Sherry is, I like how she came out like fully like Christian, like all you saw was
Mhm.
commercials of her like professing in Christianity, stuff like that. But in the movie, I felt like they were hovering around her and the girl, maybe because
Uh,
they thought it was
yeah.
like a masculine thing. Like it never really
Yes.
happened.
Yo,
But you
I
felt,
didn't get
was
that.
that
I
just me?
did. I did. I
I
did.
didn't
Was that
get
just
that.
me? Like
Her
I
and
felt like
the
nothing happened, but I
girl.
No,
Yeah.
there wasn't. Yeah, at the end, after everything was done, she sort of
No,
like
it's
invited her to Chicago, and I was like, okay, it's kind of
yeah. That was kind
um
of.
yeah, but before that, I didn't see it. Before I was like, you know,
I saw it. I saw it.
mm,
I don't know. They did. I don't know if it was on purpose, but Maurice, you picked up on it too. It's like almost like Shuri is kind of like very dudeish throughout the whole movie,
but
and then the girl with the braids with the 19-year-old girl. It's like
Ironheart girl.
Riri Williams.
there was there was like nothing feminine about her, and it was just cuss word laced lines, and I'm like, dang,
But
that's what we got
can
to
I
offer. Like, so
can I
you can
defend Shuri for a second?
19-year-old girl. Well, Sherry's one thing, but you can be a brilliant
Yes.
19-year-old girl building computers and stuff, and like that's how we got to talk. Like that's the depiction that we have to have of our women. That's what I'm
Right.
trying to say. Like we can't be. It's not good, and it can't be. We can be elegant,
I-
beautiful, and smart. It got
So
to be something. Got to give. And
I
I think
think
that that's one of the things that made it kind of disappointing. Like, why does she have to have a mouth like a man? Like, why?
yeah, I think
Yeah, go ahead.
they
Go ahead.
attempted to balance it with because Okoye was a strong character. I saw her as very feminine, even in her strength. She was a fighter, but
Who?
there's a feminine Okoye.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Lupita's character
Mhm.
very feminine. Like Lupita is this like she's the standard right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, but I do see like Riri was definitely this like really dudish type of character. But when it comes to Shuri, we have to understand the conflict that she was going through
Hmm.
in the movie. Losing her
Mhm.
brother, the person she was very close with, and not having her, and then you know, uh, not wanting to take up the mantle, not believing in the Panther God,
Yeah.
then losing her mother. Like I think she was that way in the movie because she had to be that way in the movie.
Mhm.
She had to. And if she is going to take on the mantle of the Black Panther to protect her, she had to be that that way. And so I see Riri Williams was definitely, that character. But
Yeah.
I think I have to defend Shuri's only because of the storyline and what
Mhm.
took place. I think she had to be hard that way because of all the loss she had in her life.
And, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's why I say it was well written, because
Yeah.
when you see Shuri in Black Panther 2, she was girly girl, like girly girl, like from Office, and then she had this crazy conflict in this movie, trying to find out who she is, what's her purpose, and
Mm.
even then, if you notice, she still didn't know what her purpose was,
Mhm.
because
No.
Mbaku was the one who got off the the plane to
Yeah.
take to fight for the
Mhm.
throne. She still didn't know, so she's still trying to find herself, and that's
And
what I liked about Shuri's character in the movie, because Ryan Coogler created such a conflict that's continuous. At the end, I think that it was whack to have T'Challa's son in it. I'll be honest with you. I
What happened there? Were they married? Because clearly this kid is like 7 years old. Like,
so
I had to defend Chadwick though. I try to
so
throw
I
on
think
something like they
yeah.
got
So
married and
I think this is what happened. Okay, before before the
He was a
the
victim of
blip.
a snap. Remember, 5 years.
yes, yes. So before that, right? He was him and
They
Nakia,
had a
yeah,
son.
He's
Then
about
he
to
they had
was
make
a son.
gone
a
for
Right, they
five
got
years.
pregnant. And he was gone. And he came back, and then he died of
Yeah. Within a year after being back, he died because it
yeah,
was 6 years. They said
yeah.
been gone for or whatever,
And
6 years.
because he missed that time, he was in. I think at the time he stayed in Haiti for a while.
okay,
That's where they lived. But then when he got sick, when they found out he got sick, he went back to Wakanda to get better, but he
okay.
couldn't. So
Mhm.
I
that's what
forgot
happened.
about the snap. I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So y'all, as we conclude, because I told my wife, I was like, listen, baby, I ain't gonna be that long. I promise I'm not. I promise I'm not. We're
I
gonna
feel the
give
same thing.
Nikki, as we conclude this, and y'all stay behind after I end this live, like stay backstage. Nikki, as we conclude, what would you like to see in the next Black Panther movie? What would you like to see more of? What would you like to see in the next Black Panther movie?
I like to see,
Ben, Ben, Ben.
a little romance in there between
Oh, bro.
somebody. I don't know if that's between Shuri and Namor or who or what. And just I know that they were dealing with the theme of grief in this one, so at times it did seem a little like heavy, a little more upbeat like the first one was. The camaraderie between Okoye, Chadwick, and Lupita in the first one, and a couple of their fight scenes, and when they were traveling overseas to do stuff together, that kind of dynamic duo type of or trio, I guess, vibe, a little more of that. And I'll be interested to see how this you called it like the black and brown unity. The way the movie ended, I don't really know how much black and brown unity is about to be up in this next movie. So I'll be interested to see how that shakes out between the Namor's people and Wakanda, if they're really allies or if it's about to be beef or how that's going to shake out on screen.
So,
Okay, okay. Maurice, what about you, bruh?
This is my ideal plot for the third one, right?
Okay.
Big enemy come in. Umbaku is like on the throne. They link up with Namor. They're like, we gotta protect the Earth or whatever. And then he goes into like the prison with the dude there with the rhinos. Him and his people there. He's like, hey yo, we need you. And then they bring them back in, and then you just see this big like everyone come back together. So it kind of gives like a first movie feel, kind of like Infinity War, like when they went to like Infinity War when they went to Wakanda, and he was just like open section 19, and like they just dominated that, like, but with M'Baku like kind of leading the charge, and I think that would kind of like be nice, like maybe they take down Kane or something like that.
yeah, I think they were setting up uh, they may have been setting up a part three in the movie for Wakanda to have a huge conflict with the United States and the other nations surrounding the um, vibranium. So they still trying to get that vibranium.
Yeah.
So I think that may happen. I think there's gonna be a conflict, and then probably Kang is gonna show up, and then they're gonna team up to. Because the thing is, it's difficult for there to be any kind of storyline with Black Panther. To be perfectly honest with you, they're the richest nation in the world, the most powerful nation in the world. Um, like, how do you go up against Wakanda? Like, they had to create another city underwater that had access
Right.
to vibranium just to compete with them on the Earth. So for there to be a deeper threat, like for instance, the conflict that happened with Killmonger was internal. He was Wakandan.
Right.
Right.
That was an internal thing. To have an external fight, you need to fight somebody that's going to match Wakanda's fortitude, and
Yeah.
there's not one country in the MCU that can. It would either have to be they try, and it's all the nations in the world trying to take over Wakanda, or uh, a, a space level threat coming in. But that's just my opinion.
Wow. Wow. Well, what I would like to see in the next movie is, I don't really know. I know that definitely the son is going to be. He's going to be. I think he's going to, of course, be the next Black Panther. Um, and I'm not sure what I want to see. All I know is I do want to see more masculine male representation. Um, and for the sake of folks like Nicci, um, I would like to see a more romantic element involved. I think that that's going to be in part three. Because if you look at a lot of the movies, they have it in it anyways. But I think Ryan Coogler, I trust him to do a good job with that without it being cheesy, just like he did in part one. So yeah, so anyway, so that's what I would think. So, anyways, y'all, I had more questions, but y'all time is running late, and I know it's late out there on the East Coast. So, y'all, I appreciate y'all. Y'all sit tight. I'm about to close out this live. If y'all could tell the people real quick where can they find your channels before, just in case they didn't catch the beginning. Where can they find your channels? Y'all go subscribe to the channels. I got the links in the description down below. Starting off with ladies first.
Okay, so again, I'm Nikki Page. I'm your Kingdom Mindset Coach. I'm here for all the around the way girls who are unashamed of the gospel. Courses, coaching, original content. You can find it all over on my channel, which is The Glow Code. Common spelling, The Glow Code. CODE. And you can find everything else at my personal site, niccipage.com. NICCIPAGE.com. Thanks.
Awesome, awesome. Maurice.
You can catch me at All Got Everything, where we talk about everything concerning God, from family to faith to businesses. So if you want to do it for the Lord, I got you, here to inspire you and the body of Christ. I do my tagline like Nicci because she kind of came with it. So, but you can follow my channel at All Got Everything. Thank you guys for having me.
Awesome. Dre, you still there, bro?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can go to youtube.com, search Harrison Family Values. I usually go live if I'm not too tired on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. and yeah, we talk about a variety of things, and we always try to look at it from a length of faith, family, fatherhood, and manhood. So yeah, that's what Harrison Family Values is all about.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks again for y'all. I really do appreciate y'all joining me. I'm about to close out the live. Y'all sit tight. God bless y'all. All right, y'all. Thank you again for joining us for another live on That Christian Fan. We do appreciate y'all for joining and rocking with us. Y'all, I know that, listen, y'all know me. Y'all know me. I know that there may have been some things that were said and done. You know, I've been in these YouTube streets for a while now, and one thing I've noticed is that no matter how you say it, somehow some way, somebody gonna find a way to get offended by what you say. But here's what I got to say to all of y'all. For all the trolls or anybody else, if you're offended, I really don't care. Also, God bless everybody. Y'all take care. Have a good evening.